Okay, welcome everyone. This is Karen Harrison, and this is Reiki Call. It is our once a month opportunity to talk about Reiki with questions and answers, and then towards the end to send Reiki to everyone. My website is www.karenharrison.net, and you can also find me on YouTube, and I will be uploading the Reiki call to my website. I finally figured out how to do it myself. I was so proud of myself. Now, can I do it a second time? I don't know. We'll
We'll
see.
send Reiki to that.
Yeah. Um, so hopefully, yes, I will be able to do that. And so I'm excited. Tonight we have a bunch of questions that you all have sent in. And welcome, LaDon. I was welcoming everybody before uh, we got on. So it's always more exciting when we have a group of people. Well, let's start by just doing a short gasho and a little prayer, and then we'll move into questions. So activate your Reiki energy. Whatever symbols you want. And we'll just call on the divine, the ascended masters, the light and love of Reiki to flow through us, coming into our crown, flowing all the way down through our bodies, gently releasing anything that we need to let go of, any worries, tension, or anxiety, flowing out now. Flowing all the way down through our legs, out through the bottoms of our feet, deep into the earth. And then the beautiful energy of Mother Earth and Reiki energy flows back up through the bottoms of our feet, flowing up through our legs, our torso, our neck, into our heads, grounding us, and then spilling out from the crown down around through the aura, cleansing our aura down to the earth, releasing and grounding all that we've been doing today, sending it down to the earth, clearing, leaving us calm and centered in this moment. And we connect in love with everyone on the call and everyone who tunes in later. Sending love and blessings to each one of you. And then on out to our whole Reiki community. And then on out to all the people in the United States. And then all around the world. To all people on earth. Creating a wave of peace across the earth. And sending that energy also to the animals, the plants, the birds, the water. Creating a life of food for all, shelter for all, peace for all, safety for all, love for all, work for all. And so it is. Blessed be. Amen. Okay. Well, that felt good for me. I think I needed that after my busy day. So, I have questions that that people sent in, but I always like to start with any questions that the people on the call have first, and give you all first priority. And Susie, I remember you sent in one of these, but I didn't put your name on it. So do you want to say what your question was?
I just wanted some variations on the invocation. like when you, right before you start a treatment, or that, like just kind of like what we did right now, just some things to say about getting the Reiki going. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember that the lady that I had, Susan Newth, for 1 and 2, Reiki 1 and 2, the last thing she always said was, go Reiki, go, flow Reiki, flow. And I just read your magazine article, but, and you had that in there, the same thing, flow Reiki, go, flow.
Uh-huh.
But I just thought maybe there was some written down ones, or if everybody could just say what they use to get
Mm-hmm.
some ideas for that. I sometimes get tongue tied and I never know what to say that doesn't, scare anybody or anything. And so that's what my question was.
Okay, that's a good question. And I did write some of that down and I put it in the Reiki with Karen Facebook page or
Okay.
group. So if you go to the file section,
Okay.
um, I think it is a good idea to find out what is the spiritual orientation of your client. Because, for example, um, I work with God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit. But if I have a client who's Buddhist, one woman told me, yeah, that kind of prayer that you do isn't really going to work for my husband, so keep that in mind. It's like, yeah, good to know. So I want to, I honor all spiritual paths and I want to do a prayer that is inclusive for, anyone. Um, so certainly, activating Reiki energy, calling on ascended masters, um, the healing energy of light and love. Um, I think it's a good idea to throw in there that I intend to set my personality and ego aside to be a clear and open channel for only the highest and holiest Reiki energy. And also to affirm that the person is open, receptive to their highest healing now. So those phrases are in my opening statement, because I want the person to be able to receive as much energy as possible. So let's open it up to some other ideas. Anybody like to share, what you use or maybe what you might like to hear uh, from a Reiki practitioner when you're going to receive a Reiki session?
And I have to say, the way you do it is perfect for me because you take me down that path of grounding, and then you call in the energies and you let it flow, and I like that. And as far as you kind of leave it open. You don't really, you call the spiritual team, I would say, that I
Yeah.
use, the team.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty much what I like to hear, because I'm Unitarian. I believe in all religion, so it's not one person that I go to. So it's the team
Mm-hmm.
of divinity that I think of. So that's how I like to think of it. So I think you did a very good job of it, and I think any spinoff of that would be up to the client itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you that in your starting prayer you say you mentioned setting the ego and your personal agendas, for like I forget the exact phrase you use, aside.
Personality aside.
Personality aside. Um, I will say in the past when I've received Reiki sessions, and I got my Reiki 1 and 2 from you, but I got a Reiki 1 last January. So I offered to, friends and family. Whenever I had sessions, I don't say the prayer outside. And I haven't ever really asked, and the people that used to give me Reiki sessions, they never said a prayer outside, or sorry, out loud.
Uh-huh.
And I can say that I actually am okay with them not saying anything, them just introducing, doing our general introduction and then getting started. I like the prayer for like our training and whatnot, but I'm also okay if during a session a person doesn't tell me who they're praying to. I almost myself would not want to give the prayer out loud just because I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, and Reiki practitioners certainly they don't have to do a prayer. And in a setting, like if they're working in a massage um, parlor or something, then Reiki practitioners in those settings generally do not do an out loud prayer. So it could be silent. Um, I just do it out loud so that you have an idea of what it is that I'm doing. And I also have the advantage of I was on the spiritual counseling staff of my Unity Church for like 22 years. So I got very comfortable with praying out loud. But I would guess most people aren't comfortable with that. So you certainly, don't have to do that. You could lead a grounding meditation if you want. Um, any other ideas?
Oh, thanks. Those have really helped a lot. So I'm glad we're recording this. I can go back and write it down. I wondered if anybody had gotten their magazine yet. Have you gotten your magazine?
Hmm.
I haven't gotten my magazine, and Barnes and Noble doesn't have any in. And so I'll check on that if everybody else is good.
Okay, mail has been running really slow for people. Now, they have the magazine online this time. So if you go to
Yeah,
reiki.org, I think this is the 1 month that I think they put the whole thing online.
they did. Yeah.
Um, yeah, just as a gift, to the Reiki community. So you can find it there. And
Okay.
I'll be uploading my new article on the 21-day self Reiki challenge to my website and sending it out soon, as soon as I get the thing uploaded and all done. So in the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 days.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else have questions? Okay, I will start going over some of the things that people have sent in. All right, well, here's one. I think this is probably typical of a lot of people. I'm having a very tough time with patience and pessimism right now. Can I receive Reiki for those things? Absolutely. So, one of the things that I teach in Reiki 1 and 2 is how to use the mental emotional symbol, the SHK symbol. We draw it on our hands or visualize it, and then place our hands wherever it is on our body where we're feeling the emotion. So, I think tuning in to where in my body am I feeling pessimism, and then place your hands on and give Reiki there. Is that pessimism in the heart? Is it in the head? Is it in your neck and shoulders or your belly? Um, and then the same thing with patience. Lack patience usually involves relationships. So for that, say you're having a hard time being patient with your kids, you can activate the power symbol, the mental emotional symbol, and the distance symbol in your hands, and then send Reiki into the relationship for greater patience. You could also, again, tune into your body. Where do you have the lack of patience? Uh, give Reiki there. I know for a lot of parents that had to homeschool their kids, and parents who now have kids that aren't able to go to summer camps. Um, I mean, I don't know. I think it required a saint, frankly, to be trying to teach your kids and maybe working at the same time, or if not, just having the kids home all day and dealing with quarantine. Um, a lot of people that I know really struggled with depression and anxiety and fear. I mean, I had a girlfriend come over, for a little visit earlier today, and it was the first time that she'd had any social activities in, well, since quarantine began. And yeah, she started having an anxiety attack when she arrived at my house. I mean, we were trained for 2 months or more to be germaphobes, and now all of a sudden we're supposed to go back out into the world and act like everything is normal. I think, yeah, I know LaDawn and Crystal saw me having, some anxiety at the beginning of the Reiki class at my house, on Thursday and Friday. It's like, oh my God, there's 8 other people here. And how do I keep them apart from each other? And
What was funny was the towels. They were all like earth tone towels, and we were all like, "Is that green or is that like a teal green?" We're in. Is that? I forgot. They were brown and a couple other different. They're like autumn colors, I guess you could say. So they're all kind of blending in together.
oh, yeah,
It was
yeah.
funny because I was like, yeah, we can all. There's 8 towels, but they were all kind of a similar color. A couple of them, but it was funny.
Yeah, I know. Some were almost the same color. Yeah, well, so much for that great idea. I thought, well, instead of having everybody dry their hands on the same towel, or worse yet, use all, a bunch of paper towels, I thought, well, I'll just give them a towel rack and give them all their
I mean,
own
it worked.
towel.
I
And they
mean,
were all, basically, they were all like green and gold and olive.
they're like 2 of the same color, like 2 towels that were kind of a goldish, brownish color. Yeah, 2 red ones and 2 green ones.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was funny.
It was fun.
Yeah. Um, hey, okay, what about any of the rest of you? Anybody else, struggled with some patience and pessimism, in the last couple of months?
Yesterday.
So, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I I've been struggling with that so much because since quarantine started, I have been homeschooling my kids and teaching, and I really liked it because it finally gave me the time that I've been needing away from my job. And so now I'm in this predicament where I really want to quit. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do because I have a really rewarding job, but it's really high stress. And so I've kind of reacted to quarantine the opposite of what most people have. I don't want it to end because I'm finally able to feed myself
You're
the
not the
things
only
that I've
one.
been missing out on.
You're not the only one.
Awesome.
You have a
That's
job
good to know.
to go back to. I don't, and I still don't want it to end anyway. So. But that time's going to come very soon.
Uh-huh. What, so you've liked being able to be at home and have a little bit more time and space to yourself, LaDawn?
Absolutely. I would not change any. I mean, of course, don't like what's going on in the world, but just the time to myself to think, to unravel those knots that from being constantly driven over the past 10 years in healthcare IT to try to learn something and try to be on top of innovation. That in itself was just, I was in such a twisted knot of constantly being at work. I never took a vacation in 5 years.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know. I'd take a long weekend here and there, but what was those long weekends?
Not
I was taking care of things that were around the house, which that's not a vacation. And so just from I haven't worked since probably, I was off September to January from a previous job before COVID. And then January to present, well, I'll say January, February, I worked 3 months under contract. And then that was when COVID hit pretty hard. They let me go under that contract. And so I haven't worked since. But to be honest, I was working from home then for the 3 months. So I've been home since September. It'll be a year in September. So I don't want to go back to work. Unless, I mean, I love to work, but I just don't know what I want to do now. I don't want to go back to an office setting. I don't want to sit at a computer all day and have to Thrive project. So I'm looking in alternative things right now. So.
That's what I'm doing too. I'm looking to make like a really huge life change. And I really love my job. And I spent 10 years in school getting the degree that I need for it. But it's too overstimulating. And then being in public is too overstimulating. Everything's just too overstimulating.
Oh, okay. You're an empath.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody else like me.
All right. Well, check out my articles on Reiki for empaths. Um, so one of the things that you could do is send Reiki for the right and perfect job and job situation. And I know one of the students in class this past week said that, you know, now she was finally able to work at home and how much better she liked it because it was a lot less, you know, it wasn't the overstimulating. Um, you know, so you know
I
you
think
could
what
just
people, I think more companies or corporations are going to start allowing that just because of the overhead. I think that over the time of COVID, they can look at their overhead and what it's going to cost for them to work from home and what a tax write-off that is for those people that are working from home. And write that square footage, anything you have in your house to, you know, it's a good tax write-off when you work from home.
hmm
I agree.
yeah. So you can send Reiki, you know, for the right and perfect job and right and perfect job situation. You know, maybe Jamel, you could manifest something where you can still use all your training and experience, but in a maybe in a different job type environment or working from
Mm-hmm.
home. Yeah. And I think, you know, quarantine has perhaps, you know, really helped a lot of people to reassess their values and what's important and good for some introverts. You know, it's like, oh, finally I have an excuse to not have to interact and to have time to myself. I don't know. How many of you think of yourself as an introvert? Okay. Yeah, the introverts, yeah, like, okay, now I get to stay home and I don't have to make excuses for why I don't want to go out and be with a bunch of people. And then there's us extroverts who are going, well, personally, I've just been saying, thank God that I've been able to teach online, or I think I wouldn't have survived this very well. I think I wouldn't have been very happy. But I get to see you all, and it's the next best thing to hugging on you, and it's like, oh, yeah, it's good. Okay, so yeah, whatever emotions are coming up, just like where am I feeling that on my body? You know, that's what that mental emotional symbol is for. That's one of the things we practice in Reiki class. So by the way, I didn't get to say hello to Leslie and who is the 785 number, and I'll put your name by you.
Hi, I'm Amber Wadley.
Oh yes, hi Amber, glad you could join us.
Thank you. It's good to be
Okay.
here.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Anybody else have any questions that's on the call before I launch into the questions that people texted or emailed? Okay. Well, someone asked me how to maintain a regular practice. Well, I think that's what my 21-day self-Reiki challenge article really addresses. Um, You know, for me, I imagine what she's asking about is self-Reiki practice. So picking the same time every day to, you know, give myself Reiki. For me, I like to do it in the morning. For many people, they like to give themselves Reiki before they go to sleep. But finding a consistent time that becomes part of your routine makes it easier to keep it going. Um, than if you do like I've done with my jazzercise over quarantine time. Oh, now I've been doing jazzercise on demand and I can do it anytime. Anytime means it probably ain't gonna happen. Anytime means no time. So better to have it scheduled, to maintain that. And I suggest that people just try to commit to 10 minutes of Reiki a day. That's not a whole lot. Um, and that hopefully seems doable for most people. You can also do what my friend Colleen Benelli calls Reiki on the fly. Activate Reiki whenever you feel a need. Um, Joe said, like the expression one of these days. Yeah. So Reiki on the fly is just activating Reiki, whenever the need comes up. Like my friend that came over and started to have a little anxiety attack, immediately I started thinking Reiki, Reiki, Reiki. Um, and, just grounding and centering, so you can activate it anytime, anywhere, just with your intention. Or, if you want to be real obvious about it, you can start drawing the power symbol, and then if your friends don't have Reiki, they're going to be wondering, she's whacked. um, so, and what do you all find works for you in, being able to give yourself Reiki?
It's always visualization with me. I'm trying to get to a point where I regularly visualize my chakras like expanding before I go into like the grocery store, so I don't absorb everything when I go in, because I end up feeling kind of nauseous at the end of the trip. So and I know it's really annoying going out of the house. I don't really like it. For a long time, I would imagine like my chakra auras closing off, like trying to protect them in this little brick bubble. And then I read something the other day that someone had shared with me that said you need to expand your chakras instead of making them smaller and trying to protect them. So I thought that was kind of just like a reopener for my eyes. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah. Well, for empath issues, we have the power symbol, and you can just draw the power symbol in front of you, and then one on each chakra, starting at the root all the way up. And then I just like to intend then that I just kind of pull it around me, and I'm encompassed in the power symbol. And if you have the holy fire symbol, that's even stronger, because it's a transmuting flame, and it transmutes the energy of, whatever is around you. Welcome, Loretta. Hi, glad you're here. So those are some good ways to do it. And then for empaths, grounding, anything that you do to ground before you go into the store and after you go into the store. And because a lot of times what happens with empaths is it's like it's like our feelers are out and we're sponging up everything in the atmosphere. And instead, we're just going to intend, instead of sending those feelers out, we're going to send them down. Okay, so now it's cleansing and clearing. I affectionately call it taking out the trash. So everything that's accumulated in the aura now ground down to the earth. So now that's no longer bothering me.
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, Reiki at the grocery store, Reiki, anywhere, anywhere.
Karen, you don't want to do the new grocery store buggy.
Oh, that. Well, LaDon, why don't you stand? Why don't you stand up and show us?
You got it. It's yours. That's your coin now, not mine.
Well, wait a minute. You're the one that came up with it. I thought that was darling. All right. So one of the things that we do in Reiki class is I try to help people that have all different styles of learning. So one of them is drawing the symbols with your body. So yeah, so LaDon, all right, so now imagine here you're at your grocery cart and you see a mother and kid, having a conflict. So then you just go,
I love it. But you're pushing the buggy, and you don't want anybody to like explain it a little bit further. You just don't want anybody to know what you're doing because they're gonna think you're crazy.
oh, and they're not going to notice that.
And then so you just keep your hands on the buggy and kind of swirl, do your symbol on, your power symbol with your hips.
Yeah. Well, thank you, LaDon, for that idea.
I did it yesterday, I think. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, did anyone notice?
Before the doors opened, the second sliding doors opened, I already did my little wiggle. It's like, let me get through this quick and easy and fast and free.
Okay. All right. Well, you all try that and report back next month, how that goes. I don't know. You might end up with a new admirer at the grocery store.
I am looking for a significant other, but not one from the grocery store. Never know though who you might meet though. Seriously.
I don't know. You might.
That might be the one.
Yeah, it might be in the fruit section. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, all right, new ideas on how to activate your Reiki. Okay, all right, that was fun. Somebody said, how do you work on sciatica issues? Well, the top pick for any kind of issue is to activate your Biosen scanning. And intend to put all your consciousness in your hand and then scan. So if somebody came in with sciatica issues, I'd be scanning their whole body, and particularly over the sciatica, see what I notice. And probably I'm going to find blockages there over the sciatica. Probably also it's going to be in the low back and the hip area. And if it's sciatica, it's probably going to go all the way down to the knee. So I definitely would not put my hand on top of the sciatica, like touching. That would be a Reiki, no. But you can work in the air, or, with the person's permission, you could put your hand on the side of the hip. You work from like the side of the hip down to the knee. And hold the hand there, work over the sciatica. Any other thoughts on that? How you'd work on a sciatica issue?
I worked with somebody who had very bad sciatica. He actually was having chemotherapy, and he had a pretty progressive doctor. He's a fellow musician, and he was undergoing chemo, and he hadn't slept for 6 months from the sciatica. It was, and I went over there. I didn't apply any pressure to the side. Usually sciatica is usually one-sided. I don't think people usually have sciatica both sides. It's more or less, people are more afflicted by it just by one side, it seems, traditionally. And so this was my first Reiki after Holy Fire 3. And it was kind of interesting. So I gave him Reiki. I just gently put my hands near the side where the sciatica was. And it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I left the room, and he was in a deep sleep. And when I called up the next morning, I spoke to his wife, and I said, how did Steve do? And he said, Joe, you're not going to believe this. He slept through the night for the first time in 6 months, and his sciatica is gone.
Wow. Yay.
And, I'm mostly a piano teacher. I don't mostly do Reiki for a living, screaming into the computer to do the lessons. The piano sounds like Jamaican steel drums these days, just driving me crazy. But the few times I've done Reiki since Holy Fire 3, I've had pretty formidable results like the one I just mentioned. But I don't get a chance to use it mostly because I don't do Reiki primarily as my life. I mean, it is my life on me personally, but, things on that level. So that was good. So one of the things I love to do, for those in Karunas, I love to do when I start a session is Rama in the foot chakra. Okay, I find that, that's usually how I begin for those who have, karuna. I find that sets the body in the right tone, and that works very well for me. People say they find that very soothing, and that I go to where it is.
So you'll chant it.
Yeah, I think even the manual says Rama is very good for the foot chakra. Okay, from what I read in the manual.
Grounding.
Yeah, so that was my experience with sciatica. I think it's mostly when most people have it, it's usually, to one side.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well,
Thank you. I
yay.
just thought I would share that, but I didn't, like you said, of course I didn't put any pressure on his area, but I did rest my hands very, very gently on the area where the back sciatica was, though.
Okay.
Okay, over and out.
Great. Thanks. And maybe you can send Reiki for those piano lessons that are.
Of course, I have to play psychiatry, when the piano lesson is finished, and they're very exhausting. I mean, 10-year-olds still don't know. I'm going, left hand is this side. They still don't know the left from right, But then, the parents are going stir crazy too all of these months. So I have to play psychiatrist with them after the piano lesson is over and listen to all their laments,
Oh boy, extra charge.
Yeah, no, I do it out of the goodness of my heart. But
Oh, well, maybe they need a Reiki session. Start with Reiki before. Okay, well, speaking of that, someone else wrote, what happens if we forget to use the power mental emotional symbols? That really happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I stopped and started back up again. Well, I mean, if you have Reiki 1, you wouldn't have those symbols anyway. So you can still do a Reiki session even without the symbols. And you can stop and add them in anytime. So I wouldn't worry about that. At the beginning of the session, we just check in and see what symbols you feel guided to use. And if you can visualize, which is what I finally learned to do after a very long time, is I just visualize all the symbols that I have in my hands. One of my students from Texas called it Texas Shotgun Reiki. So all the symbols in my hands, visualize them, and then it goes very fast. So that's generally what I do. But otherwise, if you're drawing them, you can pick 1, 2, 3 symbols to use. Okay, well, I want to make sure that we have some time for Reiki for you all. So how we do this on Reiki Call is a little different than Reiki Circle, which, by the way, I want to invite you all to Reiki Circle, which is a 2-hour experience, and it's the second and fourth Monday of the month. It used to just be for my Kansas City people, but now it's online on Zoom. So I also have been sending out a text message on my project broadcast texting for that. If you want to be on that email list and you're not currently on it, you can just send me an email at karen@karenharrison.net and I will add you. So on that one, the format that we've been doing is because people have been tending to drop in, is everybody will get like 5 minutes of Reiki from the group. We ask you what you want Reiki for, and then, everybody will send you Reiki for 5 minutes. But for this, we just have about 15 minutes left. So I'm going to ask you all to activate your Reiki, and then we'll send Reiki to all of us at once. And also you can intend to put in whatever world issues you have concerns about, and put that out in your intention, and we can send Reiki to that. Reiki for peace, for divine justice, for health, for solutions for the coronavirus. And there's the bear. Cool. And we can also just, you all can unmute yourself, and then, you can speak it if you have some things that you would like Reiki for, and then we will all send Reiki to all of those things for the next 15 minutes. So, any intentions that you all would like to toss out there?
Can we just write them down or say them to ourselves?
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, you can write them down, and then, you can hold the paper or the book between your hands. You can just intend them. Um, okay, so let's activate our Reiki. And I'll just do another little invocation since someone had asked about that earlier. I'll do maybe a slightly different one. Okay, so we call on Reiki healing energy from the highest heavens, the light of love, the light of consciousness, the light of Reiki is flowing through us now. And we intend to set our personalities and egos aside to be clear and open channels for only the highest and holiest Reiki energy. And we intend to send Reiki for the highest good of all concerned, knowing that the divine knows the right and perfect outcome for each person and each situation. So now we'll move into the silence for the next 10 minutes or so. You can hold your hands like this or like that or teddy bear, or I'm going to place mine on my lap. Now we'll bring this to a close. Well, I don't know about you all, but I about fell asleep there.
My dogs did.
Your dogs fell asleep. Good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They were ready to go out about 2 minutes. Well, about 10 minutes right before, 2 minutes before we started. And then they were just like right here in my face, like, and Woody, he stomps, like,
Uh-huh.
let's go. And then once everybody started doing Reiki, they both took their corners and went to sleep. Thank you.
Good. Good. Yeah. If I ever fall asleep on one of these things, like shout out. Hey, Karen, wake up. Okay, wonderful. Well, that Reiki felt great, and it's wonderful to see you all, see real people, connect. So I'll be sending out the recording, and this is also loaded up to iTunes when my assistant gets it uploaded, so you can find it there too. All right, keep sending in your questions. I'm here to help and support, and it was nice to have some discussion tonight. So thanks for joining in, and thanks for the humor, LaDon.
Always.
Okay, all right. Well, love and hugs to you all, and we'll see you maybe next week if you want to join us for Reiki Circle. I'll also try and post that on my Reiki with Karen Facebook group, the Zoom info for it. Okay. All right. Bye. Thanks for
Bye.
joining us. Bye.